Okay, today's video is on biodiversity. If you take a look at this picture, we have a wide variety of plants, animals, microscopic organisms, and insects, and that's basically what biodiversity is. It is the total number of variety of organisms that live in our biosphere. The more variety we have, the better the biosphere is. So the more species we have, the better off the planet is. The less species, or anytime we decrease or lose a species, it becomes dangerous for the planet as a whole. What's threatening biodiversity today? Well, humans are the major threat to biodiversity, and one of the ways that they threaten biodiversity is by habitat destruction, which means the loss of homes for plants and animals. And how do we do that? By deforestation and land development. And deforestation is the process in which we're cutting down forests, and we're doing that at an alarming rate. And so when we are taking down all these trees, we are losing homes for certain birds and insects and other animals. And then we're taking that land and developing it into our own homes, cities, and towns. So we're taking homes away from plants and animals. Another way that humans are threatening biodiversity is by hunting and creating a demand for wildlife products. The Asian elephant is almost in extinction because we're killing them all because the high price of their tusks. The same is true for the rhinoceros, and furs for certain animals are in high demand, so those animals are in danger of becoming extinct. A third threat to biodiversity that humans can sort of control is invasive species. An invasive species is an organism that comes into a new area and outcompetes for that native species, so it's going to replace the native species because it has no natural predator or disease that's going to lower its population size. So an example of that would be the zebra mussels that have come down from Canada into Michigan and outpopulated all the other crustaceans that live in that area. Killer bees are another example. They're killing off all of our bees here, and that's going to have a huge effect on our pollination. And snakes. Certain snakes have come into certain areas like Florida and Hawaii and overtaken the native population of snakes and killed them all off so that they exist. And again, they can do that because there's no predator and no disease that kills them. So these organisms that come in, this invasive one comes in and outnumbers and outcompetes for the native species. The last major threat to biodiversity is pollution, and humans are polluting this planet at an alarming rate. One way is by putting chemicals into the air, and the chemicals in the air eventually come back down from the air and create acid rain. And acid rain is basically a solution that changes nature's pH of 7 down to something called like a 3. And most organisms can live in a 7, but they can't live in a pH of a 3. And so we're killing off plants and animals by our pollution. Pollution is also causing climate change. And if you remember, climate change is also known as global warming. And so what that is the burning of fossil fuels, for example, oil to heat your home, or gas to run your car, or coal is burned for factories. And when we burn those 3 fossil fuels, we release carbon dioxide into the air. That carbon dioxide creates like a little layer around the earth and doesn't let the heat that we're generating from our planet leave like it naturally should, so the heat stays in. That heat then warms up water, and the water gets warmed up so much so that we're having the polar ice caps melting, and so we're destroying a habitat for all organisms that live in a polar environment. The heat creates more energy, so it creates more tropical storms, which makes it more violent and difficult for some organisms to survive. And this heat also is going to create a change in weather patterns, and so that means our summer temperatures might get hotter, our winter temperatures might not be as cold, and that means certain plants, trees, and animals can't survive any longer in those particular temperatures. So climate change is going to create an atmosphere for more extinctions. It could also decrease population size of different organisms, which then would have a trickle-down effect for the populations that need other populations to survive. And so overall, climate change leads to not a very healthy planet. And that is going to lead to less biodiversity. And anytime we have less biodiversity, it means we don't have a happy, healthy planet. And so to wrap up, biodiversity, it's important for our planet to survive. The more species we have, the better off the planet is. Biodiversity is threatened mainly by humans, and humans are changing habitats. They're hunting too many animals to extinction. They're allowing for invasive species to exist, and we're also polluting and causing climate change. That's all we have for this lecture. Thanks.